Hey, Joe here from Home Studio Corner. Going to talk about the Presonus StudioLive Series 3. Man, mine's a little dirty. Specifically, how to use the user function buttons here on the bottom of the mixer. Let's dive in. You may have noticed on my mixer, I've got a piece of tape here with a bunch of different stuff written on it next to these 8 user function buttons. Now, I don't use these a whole lot, but I really like the idea, and I went through and spent a couple of days just trying to figure out different ways to use them, specifically with DAW mode, to do functions inside of Studio One that I normally use keyboard shortcuts for. Things that would make my life a little bit easier to just be in the mode creating and just pop these buttons when I need to do something. So let me just walk you through which ones I chose and then how to set these up. So +3 and -3 dB, there's a feature in Studio One that allows you to select a region and increase the volume up or down by 3 dB. Now on the keyboard, it's plus or minus for me, but I've actually done it here as these 2 buttons, so I can just quickly do that without ever having to reach for my keyboard. Kind of neat. This is the mute. This actually mutes the region, not the audio track, but the region itself. So if I've got it selected, I can turn it up and down, or I can mute it. Duplicate track is something I do all the time. If I've recorded one guitar track and I want to do another, I've got a keyboard shortcut set up to duplicate that track. This allows me to do that with one push of a button. This allows me to set where the loop start and loop end point are in the session. I don't use it that much, but it's neat that you have that capability. Button number 7 turns the loop on and off. So if I tap this, you can see in the session it's turning the loop on and off, just engaging it and disengaging it. I always forget what the keyboard shortcut is for that, so I've got a button that allows me to do that. And then 8 is my zoom out. So if I'm in a session where I've gotten way too in the weeds and I'm way zoomed in and I've lost all perspective, or I just want to see where I am in the session, even if I'm zoomed in super close, there's a keyboard shortcut that I use that allows me to zoom out. So if I'm ever in DAW mode and I just want to do that, I can tap this zoom out button and boom, it zooms out and I can see everything in my session really easily. It's a nice, handy set of features to have. I've mentioned before, I love the way Studio One handles keyboard shortcuts and the fact that you can create macros. And if there's basically any feature in Studio One you want to have a keyboard shortcut for, there's a good chance you can do it. And if you can make a keyboard shortcut for it, then that means you can also assign it to one of these user function buttons. Now, how do you do that? Come over here to the screen, tap on Home, come over here to System, and then up here in the top right, you can see User Button Assigns. That's where we're going to go. And here's our buttons, 1 through 8. And we can literally, it's as simple as, let's do set loop in, because I don't use that a lot. You can come through here, you can search by category, and there's a lot of categories. And then you can search by, like let's say you set up a macro inside of Studio One. I've tried a few. Then we can just come over here, and we can just scroll around, and there's just look at this. I set up one called Copy to New Track when I was trying to figure out some looping stuff. I could assign that to a button if I wanted to. If I wanted to create new track with 5 layers, I could bam do that. Like there is just here's that decrease volume by 3 dB that I showed you earlier. This is just one category. Looper, dupe track. This is when I was trying to make Studio One act like a looper. There's just tons and tons of stuff you can do. And that's just one of the categories. There's a bunch more. So you just go find one, you select it, and boom, it now becomes that feature. If you find yourself using DAW mode a lot, then these functions become really, really cool. Now, I'm fairly certain you can assign these to be functions of the mixer as well, as far as like this is a mute group or even like a tap tempo or something that you would do in a normal live scenario. But for the studio, I could see these being really powerful if you're using DAW mode a lot to get to some of those quick features that you have. Whenever I'm in a session tracking a band, for example, I've got my keyboard over here on the side. I'm not using it all that much. I'm using the mouse and I'm using the mixer. And if I wanted to have a few of those things that I do a lot, like let's create a new layer. We just did a great take. Let's wipe that out, save it to a layer, go to a new layer or a new playlist to do a second take. It'd be cool to have buttons that allow me to do that. And with these custom user function buttons, you've got 8 of them, so you can get really creative. You can probably go overboard with trying to find the best workflow. But it's really an exciting group of buttons that allows you to be creative and really customize your experience on the board. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Joe from Home Studio Corner. See ya.